Whether your New Year's resolution is to hit the gym, better hygiene, or simply to keep things cool and fresh, Mando whole body deodorant has got you covered from head to toe. Mando is clinically proven and doctor developed to help you block odor all day and control it for up to 72 hours. Say goodbye to last year's stink and upgrade to a whole new level of personal care. Right now, new customers get $5 off of a starter pack with exclusive code CHAEL at shopmando.com. You will love how you can use Mando to freshen up any problem areas in a pinch. It is perfect for my on-the-go lifestyle. It's also aluminum-free, baking soda-free, cruelty-free, dye-free, and it's vegan. Mando Starter Pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, a cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, and free shipping. Remember, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code CHAEL. That's over 40% off your starter pack, only at shopmando.com. Or just click on the link below. I read this thing in Francis Ngannou, and I read it on a very good source, MMA Fighting. MMA Fighting, for example, that's Ariel. That's where Ariel lives, right? Top guy in the business. And it said that Francis Ngannou contract to fight Anthony Joshua is expected to bring him about $20 million. I'm going, man, I got a lot of problems with that statement. First off, who expects it? And what is about $20 million? What is that? Can you be off by one? 21 million? So we're only off by one, but then again, it's a million. Could it be 19 million? Again, we're only off by one, but it's a million. Would you consider that about what if I go 2 or 3? Well, I'm at 17 million to 23 million. I mean, I'm just asking, like, what is about? And just so you know, when something's worded that way in our space, that means that there is a back-end participation incentive within the contract. And here's what the projections are. That's exactly what that means. That's okay. That's a very common way to speak. I'm just sharing with you in case you read that go, wow, this is a news report, because there's no news in it. They didn't even take a stand. It was as flobbly as could be. What did I just read? Well, that's what you're reading. But my only reason for bringing that to you is there will be no pay-per-view bonus. They're not going to do pay-per-view numbers. They have no ability to do pay-per-view numbers. And pay-per-view is one of the most simplistic businesses you could ever go into. Pay-per-view is one of the most sophisticated businesses you could ever go into. I mean, it's one of these things, like, it's the simplest thing in the world. Put something out and put it behind a paywall. How do you get that paywall down? You push a button. I mean, it's one of the simplest things in the world. The money is taken right then and goes into your account. It's one of the simplest businesses in the world. But getting somebody to understand what it takes for human behavior to purchase a pay-per-view is a whole other game. And it too is rather simple. But you can't get an honest guy to come in the room. That's the problem. That is 100% the problem. The next time you get a consultant that wants to tell you about pay-per-view, structure him the way he told you to structure your deal. Don't pay him until the numbers and the projections come in. Make a deal. If he comes in the room and tells you it's going to be do between 6 and 10, great. If it does a 4, you don't get paid. Do we have a deal? If it does a 12, you don't get paid. If it does better than you said, you don't get, you're the expert. I'm asking you for a bottom and I'm asking you for a top. You also get to set it. You can say 2 to 8. You can say 1 to 20. You can say whatever, but once you say it, I'm going to look at it and decide if that's a good business for me. Which is where now you get the guy being a little bit more honest, right? And he also needs to operate within it. He won't take the deal. He will not become your consultant. He's going to need a check today because he knows when this actually comes through, anything you write from that account is going to be rubberized. I'm just sharing this with you. There is going to be no pay-per-view bonus. they're going to put it at the same weird and goofy time. And the reason for that is just because of how it's structured. You have a promoter that's going to bring you an event, but you have somebody else writing the check. They're not tied together. They're not incentivized to bring it and do it the right way. There's a misstructuring within the accounting department, period. Like anything in life, if you want more of it, incentivize it. Like these things aren't rocket science. To have a good business, make sure your profits exceed your expenditures. Like these things aren't complicated. The biggest problem from a business standpoint is purely the incentivize of the contract itself, which is why there won't be a pay-per-view bonus. I'm just bringing that to your attention. It's not a big deal. Francis did say something interesting. He said he's going to go and fight Fury next. You know what? It is a big deal. It actually is a big deal because it's being put out by MMA Fighting. I talk about the dirt sheets I go to, and I tell you the elbows and the mains, but I don't mention them. When I reference them MMA Fighting in a separate category. I do not allow the term dirt sheet to apply to them. They're very credible. They have very good people. They have Ariel. They got Damon. They do a very, very good job. So when they put out things that not only aren't news, they're also not true, I do wonder why. What was the point in writing an article that was so wildly fictitious? And who is it that believes it? Because you can write anything. Journalism 101 is cite your source. If you have a reasonable source, go ahead and print it. Go right ahead. You're within the bounds. So who was your source? Well, your source was probably Francis himself. Considering he was a guest on your show yesterday, that's just a guess by me. Which means Francis believes it. Francis should not believe it. If you ever get confronted with something like that, and just so you know, like the world will always go in these fads and these phases, but a new one in business right now is a projected number as a way of closing a deal. I mean, it's no different when I talk about business fads than a diet fad. Well, it doesn't matter if it's the low carb. What they got this new scam is called intermittent fasting, right? But there's nothing scientific about that. If that helps you reduce your caloric intake for a day, which is the only thing that makes you gain or lose weight, go ahead and do it. But waiting to eat or pigging out at one, it doesn't change. I'm just sharing with you. There's fads, and a new one in business right now, particularly the digital space, is projections as a way of closing a deal. So, give you a great example. I'm going to sign you to a pay-per-view, and I project that I'm going to guarantee you 100 grand, but I project with these that you're going to make $8 to $10 million. So they've given you a floor and they've given you a ceiling, and they've done this as an expert in the space. So you just simply come back and say that I would like to save you $5 million. They say, wow, how do you do that? I said, just give me $5 million. Guarantee me $5 million. You think I'm going to make between 8 and 10. Just keep it for yourself. I'll be happy as can be. And you don't do that because you got small balls. You don't do that because you're not willing to gamble. And you don't do that because you want to make less money than you could have. That's not why you do that. You do that as a stooge test. If that guy reaches across the table and shakes your hand right now, you're dealing with an honest man. Now, he might turn out to be wrong, but that's not an honest man can be wrong. Honest man can't lie to you. There's a massive difference. So if he tells you it's going to be 8 to 10 based on projections that I believe is an expert in this space, and you tell him I'll do it for a flat 5, he should take the deal right then and be very excited. He should look at you and say, young man, I don't want you mad at me later. You say, oh no, that's quite all right with me. 5 will do, but you're going to know right then. That is the stooge test right then. It's a small deal. I don't care. What I do care, and I am interested, is the observation and the studying of what works in the promotion business. And there's been a period of time where lying has worked. And it's just storytelling. It's just character development. Like, you don't go out and arrest Al Pacino for chopping people up with machetes while selling them cocaine because you watch Scarface. It's just a character. But if you see it on a news site and it's reported by the news site, it should have some level of validity to it. Unless they too are a prop being paid by somebody and this was what they were asked to post. Fair enough, but if that's the case, then it needs to help. Does that help? When Floyd came out and he's flashing money around and claiming I made $100 million, I mean, just these insane comments, though. He was working into routine, he's throwing the money around, he's got the cubic zirconium and saying it's diamonds, like it was this whole thing, and it was great, and it worked. But it was also definitive. It was very different. Here's what I did, here's what I got, here's what I had. I'm waiting, there's a projection, there's a guess, and it's weird. It's just weird. Why not just say I'm going to do $17 million, which is a 70% increase for my last fight, of which I lost? I mean, that right there that's a pretty good flex. And one other thing that was interesting is Francis said, no matter what, I'm going to fight Fury. And when he said it, it was interpreted by the audience as this is what's important to me. This is what I want to do. No matter what, I want to try Fury again. That's not how I interpret it. And I must admit for you, I only saw what you saw, but it's not what I heard. What I heard is that Francis has a guarantee. No matter how the Joshua fight goes, he's guaranteed a second shot at Fury. Now, you can't just make that happen. Whoever guaranteed him that can't just make that happen. But I believe he was told it, and I believe he thinks it's true. And I think that's interesting. I think that's really interesting. Francis Ngannou, competitive boxer. I think that's interesting. There was a number of reasons why Francis potentially overperformed in his fight with Fury. A number of them, but none of which larger than expectation. In his case, lack thereof. So, that's when you had a pro MMA fighter. That's when you had an injured guy at least 36 years old with a fake story about sand mines that a lot of people believe. That's when you had a guy that had never done it, taking on the best. But now you got a guy that's committed. He's going to put this other career on hold. He's saying, no, this is what I do. It's very interesting. I think it's very interesting. I think it puts him in a very different spot. Jake Paul got put in the same spot. Jake Paul rise to the occasion. It helped Jake. I'm just sharing for you, it will be different. I'm very curious. I like this commitment by Francis. I think it shows a courage. But I also think that and I'm not telling you he's going to get it, but I think he got a guarantee that he's going to get it. Win or lose, Fury next. So what does that do with Francis' MMA career? Right, it's speculative. It's interesting. It's fun. There's not a lot of stuff that's fun, interesting, or speculative on him out there right now. I think if you heard what I heard, the way that I heard it, I think this is interesting.